Yo, what's up? This is Matty from Memphis Mayfire, and you're watching Heavy New York.
Heavy New York!
What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are on the rooftop on my house today, and we return with Matty of Memphis Mayfire. Thank you for your time today, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to see you again. I can't believe it's been a year since we talked at the Atreyu.
It does not feel like that, man. I mean, it feels like maybe 4 months.
Yeah.
But time flies, man. It really does.
Especially when you're on the road so much.
Yeah, it's true.
But now that Broken is going to be hitting the 2-year-old mark in, about a year from now, but do you have kind of like an overall conclusion on this record cycle and what we could be expecting from Memphis Mayfire fairly soon?
Man. I mean, I think that we accomplished with this record so far everything that we wanted to accomplish with it. We really wanted to introduce the band to radio. We've always wanted to write a rock-based record, and we did that, man, and we're so stoked about it. And we had 2 songs that did well at radio that have really gotten our foot in the door all these years later, having been an underground band for so long, have really gotten our foot in the door at radio and introduced the band to a whole new audience that was never familiar with the band before. And now we're working on new material that is going to be a good mix between the both. We're still going to be able to write music that we can put to radio, but we'll have songs that are just more our roots as well, and making a nice mixture of it.
Yeah. You mentioned the last time we spoke on the Atreyu tour that with Broken it was very different from your previous catalog, and you kind of just answered the question. It was kind of like a preconceived idea to sort of go outside the box a little bit and try something different.
It was, absolutely, yeah. We felt like we've been a band for so long and we put out so many albums. Our fan base, our core fan base, is so supportive of us that we knew that no matter what we tried, they would walk through that season with us, and so it's been awesome, man. It's been really good, and we're really excited now to take what we've learned with this record cycle and go and make a new record that is the best of both worlds, so to speak.
Excellent. What I find unique is because when it comes to inspiration for songwriting, do you have to put yourself in a certain element in order to get inspired, or does inspiration sometimes just come out of nowhere?
Inspiration always comes out of nowhere. It's for me, I could be sitting on this rooftop in New York City and looking at the dopest view ever and just feeling like I'm in a space of inspiration and draw a blank. But then I could be walking through the grocery store and have this idea and that's it, So I think it always comes at random times, and that's why you kind of as an artist, you need to always be ready for inspiration to come, and you need to always be willing to take those moments and really just zone in and hone in on what it is that try to process that idea and bring it to life, So we're always writing. As soon as an album comes out, we start writing another record, and so we're 12 demos deep into the next record already, and we won't even start probably recording until January, February. So
what I find unique about inspiration is because sometimes songs take a couple hours, even a couple of days and stuff. So do you have to kind of keep the emotion consistent in order to finish the song, or does once you start it, you kind of know where to go from there?
It can be really challenging for sure. I mean, if you get through, songs can take up to a week or 2, or just to really get a foundation laid, and it can definitely be challenging to be in the zone and be writing something and be so passionate about it, and then come back to it a day or 2 later and you're just not in the same mindset. It's going to be hard to finish a song. So I think it's important to wait to finish something until you know that it's time to finish it, because I think that when something is not authentic, I think the listeners can tell,
Yeah, of course, definitely. And if you're not proud of it yourself, you can't expect anybody else to be proud
Absolutely.
of it either. Now, kind of continuing with experimenting, with Broken, do you think that by experimenting in your sound, this opened more doors to further go outside the box even further?
Yeah, totally. I think that door has always been wide open for us because we're never worried. If we're not writing music that we want to write, then there's no reason for us to be doing it. And so we're always wanting to just push the limits, and our fans know that we're going to do that. So this record by far was the most outside of the box we've ever gone, and we'll have even more opportunities to do that on the next record always, yeah.
Awesome. When it comes to executing your material live, is it a completely different energy or even a completely different mind frame than, being in the vocal booth or in the studio, or is there kind of just a usual go-to method behind the madness?
It's definitely a different energy. I mean, to be honest, dude, it's I have to live in a live setting, especially when we're doing 15, 16, 20 shows in a row, I have to be able to control that emotion in a way where I don't go so hard that I damage my voice and can't continue playing shows. Whereas in the studio, I'll take it all the way until I'm coughing up blood if I have to get a take.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
At what point are you satisfied? Like, is there like, do you just feel it, or do you have like a?
Sometimes it's take 1, and sometimes it's take 101. You know, it just depends. But I'm so specific about what we do in the studio and how I do it, and when I know something is done, that I'll go until it hurts for sure.
There you go. And with the other members contributing to the band, is it easier? I believe I asked this last time, but is it easier to come up with lyrics when you have a musical arrangement to work over, or do you sometimes have like a concept in mind and that could help determine the outcome of the music?
It's both, man. I think, the majority of our career, I've always written to fully finished instrumentals from Kellen that he's already gotten wrapped up. But also, if I have an idea that doesn't fit with something that he's written, it's really nice to just sit down and build music around it. So we've done both, but I would say that for me, just because it's how I've been groomed, I think that it's easiest for me to write to something that's already been, a foundation that's already been laid.
Yeah.
Because in music, it make you feel something. Like I can hear what a lyric should be just by listening to, a chorus, and I'm like, oh, that makes me feel like this, and it inspires me to write.
Yeah, and nothing could be more heartbreaking too than like having the perfect lyrics and then seeing how they just go one syllable over like
it's the worst.
the arrangement of each song.
It's the worst, man. Sometimes you just have to tailor the instrumental to the lyric,
Yeah, of course. And it's not always easy, but a challenge is always good.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I think that a challenge in the studio or in the writing process can be so frustrating because you're already beating yourself up so much, and by the time something comes together, it seems like the more challenges there were, the more rewarding it really is in the end. So
Definitely. And you've also collaborated with a lot of artists as well. So when you're working with a different type of artist, outside of your regular band, does that open up your ideas to bring some newer ideas into Memphis May Fire?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we're always being inspired by our peers, and I think that's just natural, like bands you tour with and bands you become friends with and everything. It's like you respect them so much and you support their art so much that sometimes something from their style can bleed into how you do things, and that's kind of all of that meshing is kind of what creates beautiful new pathways for music.
Of course. When it comes to collaborating with the different artists, do they just want you to completely bring your own personality and your own voice, or do you sometimes have to maybe like adjust your voice in a way depending on the artist you're working
I would
with?
say almost every like guest feature that I've ever done, they've said you have complete, like, here's the part that we want you to do, but you have complete freedom to change it, or here is an empty space, please do whatever you want. Like I feel like I've always been lucky in being given artistic direction on like whatever I want to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Of course. And the final question I wanted to ask you is mentioning, coming from like an underground scene, when you were playing, like, every underground band has like a similar story. They're playing like shows where you could pretty much step on this, you're with the audience.
Absolutely.
But, as your band grew and you're playing at like, a venue like Gramercy Theater or playing like Warped Tour where there's a bigger stage, maybe stricter security, that has to, I don't want to say hinder, but that has to affect a performance in a certain aspect as well, right?
It's two different types of performances. Absolutely. I mean, like, we've sold out Coco in London, we've sold out Electric Ballroom in London, and we've sold out the Underground in London. So 3 completely different size venues. And this next time that we go over, we're playing Underworld, which is a smaller room underneath in this building right in the heart of London. And I'm the most excited about it out of any London show that we've played in a long time, because I know it's going to be so sweaty and packed and jammed in there, and people just are going to be losing their minds. And when I can be up close and intimate, it makes for what I think a rock show really should be. At the same time, having the ability to play bigger rooms and do bigger productions and showcase a different side of your band to your audience is really important as well. And if you have a high demand for a lot of people that are wanting to see you in one place, it's an honor and a blessing to be able to play bigger rooms. So you have to cater to both, but I feel like there's no experience quite like getting just messy with like a small room and a stage that's just right in front of people.
Yeah, and while it's different, I would say that in the end, it's still a Memphis May Fire show. It's not like you're playing in a smaller room, so there's not bigger production. So
absolutely.
You're lacking the experience.
No way. 2 different types of shows, but absolutely Memphis May Fire through and through, no doubt. Yeah.
And when you hear how the fans like relate to you and identify with your music, that has to inspire you even further in a way, right?
It's crazy, man. I don't even know what it does to me. It makes me feel so lucky. You know, like I'm just like everybody else. James Hetfield's just like everybody else. Like when you meet that, I mean, we played Soundwave Metallica, and you see a dude walking around. He's just a dude, and we have these opportunities to make music that people sometimes enjoy, and it's so awesome to just write something about my life that becomes a part of someone else's life, and I just feel lucky, man. Yeah.
When you put a song out, it immediately becomes theirs.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Yep. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, you mentioned that you have a couple shows coming up. Anything you'd like to plug? And aside from that, can you give us maybe a time frame when we could be expecting some new Memphis May Fire?
Yeah, so we're doing we've got a Halloween show in Fresno, California. We've got 2 shows in Florida mid-November, and then we've got a full European UK tour headliner in December. And then we'll start working on like recording in January, and I would say mid-year, potentially, maybe worst case scenario end of 2020, there will be new music.
There you go.
Yeah.
We look forward to it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, Matty. Always great to see you.
Appreciate it. Likewise.
Everybody, Matty of Memphis May Fire. New music coming very soon. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.